listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Your hosts, Nate and John, cover their shared history with the band, discover new music together, and cover the farthest reaches of the Deep Purple family tree and beyond. Here's Nate and John now.
Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 305, Blackmore's Night Under a Violet Moon, Part 1. And coming to you from the suburbs of Chicago, where I just had a vegetarian quesadilla, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Football February Matola.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I guess that's me. And coming to you from the outskirts of John Matola, I am Hall of Famer Rich Youngway Shaler.
And coming to you from the soon-to-be frozen tundra again of Oklahoma, I am Scott Dripping Faucet Taskin.
Oh, yes, I heard that you were...
I hope that's the house and not you.
So
well, they I haven't
selling,
a water freeze in a long time, like almost 25 years. And even living in Colorado and Michigan, I don't remember ever having to do this, but to keep the pipes from freezing, they wanted us to keep the water running 24/7. So they're like, just put it on it has to be the smallest stream you can make it. So I'm just like, every day I'm like,
hey, with my prostate, smaller. That's no problem.
Oh, the size of a cashew. Yeah. So it's we're now out of the freeze, about to hit another one. So I've had like 2 days without the sound of running water.
Yeah, that was the first winter I moved here. It was negative 26 degrees that first January for I think 3 days in a row. And I had to do that thing, keeping all the cupboards open so that the warmth from the house is getting into the walls. And luckily, we never had a problem. There's only one really exterior pipe that would potentially be a problem. But yeah, you don't want to burst pipe. Not fun.
Well, the combination of open cabinet doors and waking up in the middle of the night to the sound of running water, which kind of makes you want to pee, really not a good combination of things. I think there's part of my knee missing now.
Well, you never want to bust a pipe, which, as my dad once said, sounds like a good name for a rapper.
Take it away, Rich.
Bust a pipe.
Yo, I'm bust a pipe. Pops.
All right. Well, so football, John, I know you're a huge football fan, so this must be the big game coming up. Must be huge.
Yeah, go sports.
I didn't pay the full rights to call it the Superb Owl, so we have to call it the big game.
Yes, the big game. Big game day.
Don't want to get sued by the NFL. I know they all listen to this show.
Go team.
How about that local sports team?
Yeah.
The KC Chiefs are John's favorite squadron.
I also like the Nye Mets.
And like Brian Regan said, go my favorite sports team. All right. Well, here we are, reconvened. The what I called us in the group chat today, the podcast consort. The four of us tackled the last Blackmore's Night album. I don't know, some amount of time ago, and we're reconvening for album number 2. But before we get to that, there are a few things that we need to do. And first off is to remind you that our show is 100% listener supported and ad free. So if you get some value from our show, please consider giving us some value back. You can do so a number of ways. One is by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You can buy some merch at our Etsy store, and you become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. Help support the show. Help us buy albums like the one we're going to review today, or partially review today. And all the other things we need to keep the show going, playing for our Zoom membership and all that sort of stuff, keeping the lights on, as it were. We appreciate it.
And by doing that, you avoid having the show interrupted like Nate just did.
Exactly.
Actually, when I was listening today, you used the term interstitial.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I liked that word. I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna
no interstitial ads, just interstitial readings of the patrons. And
then I had a flashback to PBS when they're in one of their fundraising weeks. Like, all right, we're not going to interrupt you with ads, but we are going to talk for 45 minutes about how you can donate.
And you wouldn't think of this show as a vocabulary builder, but it just goes to show the endless possibilities on the Deep Purple podcast.
Such a service we provide for our listeners.
Do I get an umbrella?
You get an umbrella, a tote bag, a little a Deep Purple reusable water bottle. Deep Purple podcast.
Careful what you promise.
Yeah,
we all know how that ends.
I don't know if I talked about it on the show, but I did find the ditty bag while we were unpacking all of our many packed things from our remodel, which still is not complete, but mostly.
I just want to clarify, ditty bag, Ditty. I do not want a ditty bag, which I am assuming is like zip ties, bleach, gloves, condoms,
oil. Yeah,
cameraman.
No ditty bag. But yes, I actually, talking about ads and podcasts, there are some podcasts I listen to where the presenters actually read the ad, and I actually don't mind those, like, because they'll put a little something in it or do something funny, and that I don't mind. But the ads that cut in, that's no bueno. I get it; they got to pay their bills. But if you're paying for it, we want to make sure you're ad free, and we put it out there to everybody ad free because of the wonderful people that support us. Speaking of which, at our executive level patrons, we have the In Memoriam tier, the wonderful late Gerald, Jerry, Kelly, and family. At the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakfi. At the 15 Squid tier, we have Alan. At the 10-pound Good Doctor tier, we have Dr. Mike Catan. At the Turn It Up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Thielgard Mortensen, Mikkel Steen, Will Porter, PhD PP, and Michael, don't call him Bradford Bagford. At the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans. And Peter from Illinois. And at the Deep Thoughts by John Matola tier, we have Fielding Fowler.
And now, Deep Thoughts by John Matola.
Wait a minute. I lost it.
Thank you so much to everybody for your generous support of the show.
So could I just two ideas? Take them or leave them. I know you'll leave them, but just in case.
I might take them.
First of all, the doctor tier, there's only one there now, so it really shouldn't be plural anymore.
I have to get off.
But you could just do, I was thinking you could use like Doctor or, Bad Case 11U from
there you go.
Robert Palmer. But anyway.
There's
and then
a lot
for John's
of doctor songs that you could use.
Doctor. Thompson Twins. Yeah. But John's, I thought we were going to get like a different quote each week, sort of like the Who's the Boss. Like you'd find some wacky thing John said each week.
I was going to say,
I can't imagine that's hard to do.
I will.
And when in need, I'll just send you that belch that I have, and you can just put that in.
That was a John Matola from the diaphragm.
Deep Thoughts.
Deep Belches by John Matola.
I dug deep for that one.
I will leave that to the inimitable Fielding Fowler to dig those up, because I'm already struggling to get my my Maselli quotes in order. But if
wasn't it Roback? Was it Roback or Pete that did grab highlights of the shows?
Oh, Mark was really he was keeping good track last year and time stamping them and putting them in the Discord.
Yeah, but now
if anyone wants to
busy.
send in the
got a life.
I know, right? He's like fraternizing with people and having fun. This is no But if somebody wants to assemble those Mottola quotes or send them to me every week, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, seeing as that Tony Danza takes precedence over me on my own show.
Technically, you could just use a Tony Danza one. I don't know anybody would notice.
I think those are some really good ideas from Rich, but he's only putting them forth to disguise how quickly he came up with the contents of a ditty bag.
Yes, exactly.
True.
I was in law enforcement for 30 years. Plus, I visited you in Vegas twice.
But you made it out.
The man who was sticking up for the necrophiliacs is going to throw rocks from his glass house.
His glass coffin.
Oh boy.
So before we move on, just a reminder that the Machine Head rankings sheet is live. For some reason, it is making you request permission. This is open to patrons, so this is one of the benefits you get as a patron is access to our ratings show to submit your ratings and rankings, I should say, for albums where we rank all the songs from 1 to 7, 8, 9, whatever. For our album ranking show, we just did Fireball a couple weeks ago. So for Machine Head, I don't know why, but it's telling you need to request access from me. I'm just granting everyone access as they ask for it. I'm trying to find a way to turn that off. So I don't know if it's a new thing in the Google Sheet or whatever, but if you're a patron, ask for access. I'll give it to you. And obviously there's been a lot of talk in the patrons Discord, which you also get access to if you're a patron, just about how very difficult this album is going to be to rate for a number of reasons. Just because there's so many songs essentially at the same level and so many songs that have been in the set list since they were recorded and it's just all over the place. So very, very hard one. Get your rankings to us by May 5th. We'll be recording the episode shortly thereafter. Okay, so here we are, 1999, Blackmore's Night, which I think at this point, a lot of Deep Purple fans were like, okay, like that was a fun, like, whatever, like practical joke Richie played on us, but you're not really like seriously going to keep doing this, right? But he did, and they released their second album in 1999. Do you guys have any memories of when it came out, or what your reaction was, what was going on in the scene at the time? I know John just tried to avoid it.
No, I'll make mine quick. Nope. Next.
I was still kind of bought into the concept, but I was of the if it makes Richie happy, and he's having fun doing it. And the first one, there were a couple decent tracks, and I'm like, yeah, maybe it'll get better as it goes. Wrong theory, but I picked it up. Like I was very heavily into it because that was right about when I was getting a hang with the band, and it was all new to me and trying to stay on top of everything. And John Lord was putting out solo stuff, and Roger and everybody. So everything that came out, I was just snapping up as it came. And I didn't hate it when it came out. There's a couple songs on this one I actually really like.
Cool. I have never heard this album, so this is going to be a first-time listen for me.
All right. I would assume the same is true of John.
Except he may not even listen this time.
I did not listen to it until many years later, and mostly because I just kind of got out of keeping current with music because I was working 100 hours a week at this point in restaurants. So it wasn't through I wasn't avoiding anything, but I was missing a lot of things because I was just working so damn much. But when I heard it, I had the same reaction as everyone. Like, no, this has got to be a joke. He's not doing like Renaissance music. And then he released that album, and I got it, and I listened to it, and I was like, okay, like this is maybe not 100% for me, but a few things I really liked on that first album, and also, like you guys said, just appreciated that he was happy, he was doing what he wanted to do. So when this one came out, I was completely out of it with everything. I was listening to the same cassettes I had in my car to and from work. I didn't have time to buy anything. I had a lot. It was great because I had a lot of money and no time to spend it. So it was a good time to save. I wasn't going to record stores or anything really at that point. Very, very little, unfortunately. It was a dark few years for me in that regard. But but years later, I did hear this one. I'm not like as familiar with it as I am the first one. but I'm interested to get into it today. And it's not a super long album by time, but it's got a lot of songs on it. It's got 16 tracks. So we're gonna be doing 8 tracks a week, but time-wise, it's only like 55 minutes, so it's not crazy long, but a lot of shorter songs. John is like looking for an exit.
Ain't got nothing but.
John's like, how can I get out of this? Technical difficulties. Am I Sam? Feel sick? I got an emergency call.
His screen is just going to freeze on a 2, just a piece like a sticky note with a 2 on it. That is interesting, though, the number of songs, because that's going to really affect how the rankings work in the overall album side too.
Mm-hmm.
I say that's what kept Jesus Christ Superstar out of being in your top couple. Albums,
right, because there's so, and same thing with even like Butterfly Ball. There's so many tracks on those albums, and there's so many 5s. But Rich had a really great. You and somebody else were talking about it in the Discord, which was doing a thing where you take like the top 5 tracks from each album and rank them that way. So it'd be cool to get like a different balance to the scores that way. So I'm talking to my buddy who's like an Excel guru to see if we can program something in like that, so we can maybe go to a separate ranking that says if you just take the top 5 songs, where do these albums stack up?
Or I think I had said this to you a long time ago, and you just went, "Yeah, that math is too hard."
The length of the songs.
Well, no. If an album has 10 songs, and and it's 100 points, then each song is worth 10 points. But if there's 20 songs on the album, then each song only counts for 5. You know what I'm saying? And so
slow down, egghead.
I didn't say I could figure out how to do it. I'm just saying. But I'm sure that some of our
more of an idea man.
Yeah, I'm more of a I find the talent that can do it.
He's like, now you figure it out.
Listen, if I could do a good Deep Purple podcast, I wouldn't need you guys, but I can't. So.
You just couldn't do the spreadsheet. That's fine.
That's right.
There's so much optimism on this episode already. I think so. What I mean,
but who? In all honesty, though, you have this Deep Purple podcast. Why would you need another one?
So
who would do that?
It is a good time to mention that Scott, as of this recording today, Scott's Smoke on the Podcast launched with 27 episodes, 28. How many episodes?
26.
Ooh. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm on it.
So so I'm a couple episodes in, really enjoying it, and if you've listened to Scott's Uriah Heep podcast, similar format, 1 song a day, but he's putting out 4 episodes a week because he's crazy. So in a matter of about like 6 months, he's gonna have more episodes out than us. So definitely check it out if you're not getting enough Deep Purple. Actually, it's probably bad for us because they'll be like, oh, Scott's got these short episodes, only a half an hour long or whatever. I'm gonna stop listening to those 2 knuckleheads.
But we're going to miss out on all the roofing stories and what's going on with Pops, and I mean, I can't touch that kind of stuff. I can only talk about music.
Well, based on our comments that we get, there's a market for people who don't want to listen to our bullshit and want to just hear about Deep Purple. So we could cut out all of our Deep Purple chat and just have
skip ahead 27 minutes if you don't want to listen to a bunch of bullshit. All right.
The funny thing is, in this episode, there's probably a very large portion of people like, God, I hope they keep talking. Maybe they'll never get to the album.
Yes. Keep stalling.
I'm one of them.
Well, if this was the Haskin cast, we wouldn't get to the songs until episode part 5 or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
So check out Scott's podcast. Excited to see somebody going into the song by song in detail. Some really good stuff.
Thank you.
What you mentioned in the first episode about And the Address, when you were talking about the cowbell, it was interesting because to me, you were talking about how it didn't really sound like a cowbell and it didn't have that same like tone. To me, it always sounded like the side of or the stand for a cymbal he was hitting.
That could be
hitting the metal. I doubt he was. That's a weird thing to do, but
I think it's a cymbal bell that they're muting the ring out on the cymbal because you're really just getting the attack. There is an actual cowbell, but it's really low in tone and underneath of it. But until I did that critical listen, I didn't realize that before. I'd always just assumed that it was a very high-pitched cowbell. But when I started thinking about it, I'm like, that's not a cowbell.
Yeah, it's high pitched and it doesn't resonate very much. It's very dead sounding.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sound.
It could be a closed hi-hat
Thanks for the
bell.
spoiler alert, guys. Appreciate that.
Spoiler alert.
Now I can skip that episode.
That's the only reveal in like 255 episodes you're going to get. So,
yeah. Spoiler alert about a song from 1968.
right.
It wasn't the song; it was his take on it.
That's true. It's his new take on it. There's really no reason to listen to the whole rest of the podcast now. All right, so we get into this album. This album is listed as Blackmore's Night being simply Richie Blackmore on guitar, mandolin, bass, Renaissance drum, and tambourine, and Candace Knight on vocals and the tin whistle. Or penny whistle. The look from John there. I wish he was
just call me Penny.
Tin whistle.
The tin whistle. And then it lists all of these million backing musicians, a bunch of people on backing vocals. On drums, we have Kevin Dunn, who played with Riot and Bonnie Tyler. Hurdy-Gurdy by Mr. Heller and Mrs. Heller, and I looked this guy up. Apparently, this guy is like he played. I think he passed away recent. Did he? No, maybe he's still around. Maybe there's somebody else that had passed away. But he does like the hurdy-gurdy like in public in Boston. So you guys might have walked by. We all might have walked by him at some point when we were in Boston and not even realized who he was. But he's got a bunch of stuff on there. He's got a bunch of. Seems like a very eccentric guy, as most hurdy-gurdy players in the 20th century would be.
I'm assuming they played them at separate times. They didn't play it together because it's kind of a one-person instrument.
Yeah, I can't imagine multiple hurdy-gurdies being a great thing. But yeah, there's like an interview with him on YouTube with him and his wife, and she doesn't seem to be playing hurdy-gurdy, so maybe, I don't know, maybe she was just there for moral support. On keyboards, we got this guy, Jens Johansson, who is a guitarist, pianist, and keyboardist from Stockholm, Sweden, born November 2nd, 1963, son of legendary jazz pianist Jan Johansson and brother of Anders Johansson, who I think is one of our patrons. In 1982, joined the metal band Silver Mountain, which would lead you to believe he's a disciple of Richie. And he did the compulsory Swedish military service. And then he joined Yngwie Malmsteen's Rising Force and played with them until 1989. He also played with Dio for a year. So this guy's been around. Also, Jeff Glicksman, the producer on keyboards. Roy McDonald, one of the other producers on keyboards who had worked with Cinderella, Dr. John, and JLT. And then they list the Minstrel Hall Consort as all other instruments. We'll get into them later. And then on trumpet, Mark Pender, who worked with a bunch of artists, including Bruce Springsteen, who I don't really see as being a huge trumpet band.
I think he was part of the. Was it Conan O'Brien who had Max Weinberg? Was that Conan O'Brien?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
maybe he's part of Max Weinberg's band.
He's definitely part of Max Weinberg's because I've heard that
I'm looking
name.
at a picture now. Oh shit, he's the guy. Oh wow.
Yeah, they always kind of highlighted him in the show and stuff.
Yeah, he would always just be really animated while he was playing. And I've been watching a lot of Conan's show on HBO lately, where he goes to like Norway or Ireland or wherever, and just kind of it's just hilarious. So yeah, Mark Pender. Oh, that's wow. Imagine that. Multiple links here in this episode.
Simpsons link there too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What's the Simpsons link?
Conan O'Brien wrote for the show.
Well, yes. Yeah, so it's a link to a direct link to the. We're gonna have to have our Simpsons game on strong today. And by that I mean Rich and John. Then for production, like we talked about, Jeff Glicksman, who produced, I believe, the first album. He worked with Kansas, ELO, Kiss, Gary Moore, Black Sabbath, and Yngwie himself. Richie Blackmore is credited as producer, as well as Roy McDonald. Then the engineer is Mike Metal Goldberg, who we'll get into a little bit later. Another engineer, Peter Ruth, and Peter Wachalewski, who just passed away last August. He was also a local artist in Connecticut. And then we get to the album cover. Gentlemen, what do you think of the cover for Under a Violet Moon? Who wants to go first?
It's colorful.
Was that a sigh by John, or was that?
Yeah. Look at this goofy ass shit. I don't know. I think it's bad illustration.
Oops, sorry.
That's better.
Yeah.
I don't like this as much as the first one. The first one really kind of fit the genre, and this feels almost like a cartoonish New York City.
Oh yeah, you get that Tudor in the middle is the Flatiron Building. And there's a castle in the background.
It looks cheap. They were just like, we don't want to pay a real artist to do this. Just somebody sketch us really quick. Is there like a cat scratching Richie's leg?
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah,
like a bunch of geese chasing this kid over on the right here.
I didn't notice that either.
Wow, I'm picking all this weird.
And that kid's like, I'm getting out of here.
Are there a bunch of dead fish on the ground, or is that like snow?
So you know what I thought that was? You guys remember like
either?
I don't know if you guys had it in your art class. We used to have like it was almost like a tile. It had like a white thing, and you'd like carve out, do like a relief print. Like that's what it reminded me of.
Yep.
I don't know. I also just look at this and think, bring out your dead. Bring out your dead.
Yes.
Yeah, like I get what they're going for. It looks like an advent calendar or something.
It does.
If this was the cover of a Christmas album, it wouldn't faze me. You know what I mean? It's like, but I mean, they could have done so much more with this.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the name of the album. It's Under a Violet Moon, but then they have a violet moon. Oh, okay, I get that. They're under a violet moon. I get it.
That was a little subtle.
Yeah. That one almost escaped me.
Yeah, it's very on the nose. There is a violet moon there.
Yeah. Have they done
the EP was Castle on the Mount.
Have they done the 25th anniversary of this yet? They should have by now.
Did they? I remember they made kind of a big deal about Shadow of the Moon, but I don't really remember seeing much about this one.
I'm just wondering if they gave the cover a treatment like they did on the first one.
I'm looking right now to see. I don't really see a stupid Google AI is giving me an obvious answer, but yeah, it doesn't look like they like the 25th anniversary was 2024. It's like, yes, I can do that math. But it doesn't look like there was a 25th anniversary edition.
I thought I just figured they were going to be doing all of them, but maybe not.
Yeah, would have been good if they had the golden tickets again, give you a chance to win one of Richie's signed Strats.
Yeah. Did they ever find the second one?
I never saw an announcement. They made an announcement shortly after the release of the first one that somebody had found the ticket, but I never heard about the second one. So it might be sitting in some warehouse somewhere.
My copy did not come with a golden ticket. I was very disappointed.
Neither did I. 12 years from now, somebody's going to win it, and they're going to be like, yeah, we don't have the Strat anymore. Sorry.
So here's the interesting thing. They actually skipped over this one because there's a 25th anniversary of Fires at Midnight and the 25th anniversary of Shadow of the Moon, but not Under a Violet Moon.
Interesting.
I wonder why.
At least not. I should say at least not on Spotify.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean, I would have thought in the social media channels you would have seen something by now, but I guess not. But yeah, I see what you guys are saying about the art on this. It's one of those things that looks like if it was done by somebody in a high school art class, you'd be like, wow, it's really cool. It's really, really well done, good drawing, but it doesn't look pro, and maybe that's what they were going for.
I feel like there should be little doors to open, like an advent calendar.
Yeah, like John said, yeah. You could turn it into an advent calendar. It looks like maybe like it's like they did like a 15 and under art contest, and the winner got to be the album cover.
Mm-hmm.
But they did not, and sorry to who's the artist for this.
I'm just wondering how they
Candace.
I'm just wondering how they picked a producer, because how do you choose a producer for something like this? I mean, I know Roger Glover said that if you're either a producer or you're not, and it doesn't really matter what you're producing. But it seems like if you're going to go for somebody who's really in tune with rock and roll, like somebody who would do Blue Oyster Cult, how do you choose them to do Renaissance music and say, I know you understand how this music works? It just seems a little specific.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is interesting. It does kind of give it does seem to run counter to how Ritchie normally worked, which was finding, always changing. I mean, he did change lineups a lot, obviously, with this band over the years. But with production and stuff, it seems like he always just was like whoever his buddies were or friends, and he'd bring in people that he knew from years ago and people that he really loved and admired. He'd bring them in to be on his album. So, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. And the production on this album's has a very distinct sound to it, and it sounds very clean and new, which I would think you'd go for something more old sounding.
Yeah.
It's a great point, Scott. The only thing I would say is when you're going to say Renaissance music, you should probably use air quotes when you're going to do that. Because I think that's probably the key. It's supposed to be Renaissance music. Well, let's face it. I mean, some tracks are, but most are kind of a hybrid. So as long as you're getting a good sound, I seriously doubt that the producer was like, oh, you know what, move this verse here, try this lick. I think that's the part of the production Ritchie took care of. And the producer's job was just get it on tape and make it sound as good as you can.
And it is essentially new age music, is which it gets lumped into a lot. Because of the synths and things like that do take it's not all 100% acoustic Renaissance music. But I remember when we had our studio, we did, rock bands, punk bands, rap bands, and on a few occasions had like strings and string quartets and things like that. And, it's like, wow, this isn't really my background. And then you'd mic them up in this really great room and you'd be like, wow, this sounds damn good. It really wasn't rocket science. Like, we didn't have a ton of experience recording that kind of music, but you're really just throwing a microphone in something and turning some knobs until it sounds good. And, having those amazing musicians didn't make it too difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really thinking more along the lines of, okay, I don't really like that in A, play it in B flat kind of thing, as opposed to production techniques. But yeah, you guys are probably right. It's probably more Ritchie handled the writing and performance overseeing, and then the producer really just handled the recording side of it.
Yeah, and I think when you get Ritchie, obviously he's having input from Candace and stuff, but he's the one with more of the background, and this was her second real album or performance. So you get to hear what you hear from a lot of solo people who leave huge bands, and they are the person. They surround themselves with people who are going to do whatever they ask, and nobody's going to necessarily challenge them or tell them they're wrong. For a lot of solo artists, that usually means their solo stuff isn't as great as the stuff they were doing in a band for a lot of people, because they're, who's going to tell Paul McCartney, no, don't do that. He's freaking Paul McCartney. They're just going to let him do whatever the hell he wants. And he's going to do a lot of great stuff, but he's also going to do a lot of weird, sappy, goofy stuff too. And you're going to have to take the good with the bad. But anyway, the artwork is by Peter Prakownik, who was in a band. Buckle up for this band. This band was called Mouse and Twink Fairies.
Okay. Please tell me they're a punk band.
I don't think that was a punk band. Mouse and Twink Fairies. Mouse and Twink : Fairies. I don't know.
Colon.
I was waiting for Rich with that one. It was a softball right across the center.
It made all of us laugh way too easily.
Yep.
I'm just picturing. Remember the Quiznos sub commercial with those little rat looking things that that make you want to put food in your mouth.
I don't think I remember that one.
I think that might have just been out where you live, bud.
It may be.
Could have been. Yeah, it was just these two like really weird rat looking things, and they were singing about Quiznos and how great it was. And I'm like, why would you put these messed up rats in a food commercial?
That is a good question.
Stay away from the brown acid.
It's Purple Microdot to you.
He also did an album for Hawkwind. He did album art for Hawkwind. And then we've got Michael Keel, who did photography on this one. He was a New York photographer, does tons of work. But in the music space, primarily worked with Blackmore's Night and Candace Knight individually. So again, probably someone they knew just from the New York area that to do photos, and by all accounts. And
next door neighbor, excuse me.
Yeah. It could have been 2 houses down. So there's some of the work there. It looks like Candace is holding like a studio microphone, but she's holding some sort of torch.
Richie looks like he's ready to fall asleep.
Richie looks like John about 2 songs into this episode.
I believe that ivy is called a juga.
Oh my goodness. How do you know that?
Because we had it at my house growing up, and it would grow through the cellar windows. I mean, that it would just grow everywhere. And my mother would hand me this and say, "Go cut the ajuga." So either she was making a word up, which is, it could also be a swear word in another language that I don't know, but
it means it translates to that fucking stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, it does kind of sound Yiddish if you think about it.
Yes.
Which wouldn't make a lot of sense from my Roman Catholic family, but
okay, so we got that there. We've got another photo of Richie wearing a very nice hat. With Candace in full I don't know what you would call what she's wearing there.
Stevie Nicks.
Oh yeah, channeling Stevie Nicks. Some ajuga in the foreground I can't help but notice. Actually, it's got it looks like poison ivy. Leaves of 3, let it be. Careful.
Leaves of 4, eat some more.
You know what? Not a juga.
Non-ajuga.
That is not a juga. I just looked up a juga. Very different.
Then we have them in what looks like Blackmore's house in front of that gigantic fireplace, Minstrel Hall, with some candles and some Renaissance garb. A lot of candles.
Mm-hmm. A lot of candles. A lot of garb.
A lot of ivy.
Since I'm not looking on my normal monitor, it's a little hard for me to see, but is Richie dressed like Han Solo?
Yes.
Pretty much.
A slightly poofier, more piratey shirt, but yes, essentially Han Solo.
Made out of material.
Certainly that shirt is made out of material.
I don't want to be a pirate.
And then the back cover of the album, you've got a close-up on the building there, and you've got a witch flying by in a broom.
Looks like Dracula's castle.
A little bit.
Candace's mother.
I have to say, I think I've liked every picture more than the album cover.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even this would have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they should have put that on the inside. But
yeah, well, I mean, I could have done without like the fake witch on the top there. There's just always something that's going to mess it up, make it look cheap.
Could have called the album Under a Silhouette Witch.
Oh, all right, guys. Well, I'm not going to ask John if he's ready, but we're going to go into the songs. I usually ask him if he's ready.
Seatbelt yourself in there, buddy.
Yep. Get ready. Buckle up.
We got a runner.
Hang on.
They're quick ones. I think it would be much more challenging if we were dealing with like 7 and 8 minute songs here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I
think you're dealing on average with 3-minute songs.
Psyching myself for up for this all day.
All right.
Yeah, so as opposed to like the Iron Maiden being like put in an Iron Maiden or the rats in the cage on the head, this is more like waterboarding. You know what I mean? Just short spurts of
or Chinese
misery.
Water torture.
Blackmore is water torture.
I just want to know how many fidget spinners John has on his desk.
Oh my goodness. I was looking in my liquor collection because John was talking about doing shots during this one. And I was trying to find if I had like mead or anything like sort of medieval. The closest I could find is this, a Viking blog.
Oh, there you go.
Which is a based on a recipe from about year 1700. Nordic honey wine, which is essentially mead with hibiscus and hops added. And I opened this about 10 years ago, and I'm going to pour myself a little glass because I don't have any memory of what it tastes like other than it was like a fortified wine sort of. Does this go bad? Doesn't say anything on it.
Well,
I would imagine it. I would imagine it does, but
Is it making a sound?
It no, not yet. It's imported by a company in Reading, Connecticut, which I believe is where Richie lived, wasn't it? Didn't he live in Reading, Connecticut? Which is just a weird coincidence. So let me tell you what the hibiscus and hops taste like.
mold.
Yeah, it tastes a little old. You can taste the honey though. The honey comes through, but at 19% alcohol, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in there that could kill me.
Well, we'll see.
Should we stop and upload the video we have just in case something happens to Nate?
Yeah.
I'll shoot it on my phone. That's the only thing people are going to be interested in anyway.
I'll leave.
I'll
leave. Jen has the password to the studio computer, so she can recover this after I pass. Okay, so we're going to thank our next level of patrons before we get into the songs here. Our next level is the core level patrons coming in at the $6.99 new nice price tier. We have Spike the Rock Cat and Sugar Tea. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith,
Getting support from the patron Arthur Smith,
Anton Glaving,
pain in the glaving,
and Charles Meadows. And just a little note about Arthur Smith. He was kind enough after our episode on Fireball. We were talking about Richie and the cello and riding the bicycle. And I only had this really, really crappy one that you can find online. Very poor resolution, very small. And I posted something on social media to just be like, hey, does anybody have a better copy of this one? And within a few minutes, he had emailed me a really nice high resolution scan. And he's even sending it in the mail. I guess it was something they sent out to Richie Blackmore or Rainbow Fan Club back in the early 80s, this picture of him riding a bicycle, holding a cello. So it'll soon be in my possession, which I'm very excited
That Arthur
about.
Smith is a good guy.
He is a very, very good guy. Speaking of good guys, we got more at the $6.65 Almost Evil tier. We have Kenny Wymore and Richie Sucksmith. At the 70 Norwegian kroner tier, we have Kai Runa, yes, I'm Norwegian, Olsen. At the $5.99 The Nice Price tier, Robert Smith and Carl Hellberg. At the 60 kroner Scandinavian Nights tier, we have Knut Martin Johansson. At the $5 Moneylender tier, John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Alman, Alexi the Perfect Stranger Slepikov, Kev Roberts, Percival Frequency, Scott Zerns, Cynthia Doobie, Raf Calf.
My Czechoslovakian is not so good.
Coyote Bongwater. John Maselli.
Really do have smoldering brown eyes. Thanks.
Sarah Sanders.
No, Kelly Clarkson.
Jelly Bean, Evan Robeson, Richard Fusey, and Purple Swede.
Swede?
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. Watched Grumpy Old Men and Grumpy Old Men 2 this weekend. So the Swede comment is just
Perfect choice.
absolutely fantastic movies, both of them.
2 points of personal privilege. One is why the Kelly Clarkson one. I don't understand that one.
Oh, that's because Sarah Sanders said that she got into Deep Purple and Rainbow because she was looking for Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone and
that's
stumbled
right.
upon the Rainbow version.
Yeah, okay.
So I put that on, and that's Kelly Clarkson is one. That's from the 40-year-old virgin.
Oh, I know what that's from. I
Yeah.
thought there was some connection to waxing, and I'm like, I got to hear this story.
No. Anytime me and Jen hear Kelly Clarkson mentioned, we're always like, "Oh, Kelly Clarkson."
I can see that being a Richie prank. Somebody comes to stay at his house and he just waxes their whole body while they're sleeping.
It's called tar and feathering.
Another one of his hilarious pranks that leaves somebody mentally and physically scarred.
So, and the other thing is to all our Norwegian listeners, or your Norwegian listeners, they're not mine.
Oh, they're listening to you now.
I'm borrowing them, I guess. But I am very much considering a trip there this summer, a family trip to hit all the Nordic countries. So, if you guys have any suggestions or things that we should make sure we see or not see, I would appreciate it. I've already reached out to the Highway Star guys I've been friends with forever, Rasmus and Svante. If you're listening, boys, hope you're doing well, and waiting on some word from them. But anyone else, please reach out to me and let me know.
Fantastic. Always one day, maybe when the kids are off, they're gonna live here forever probably. When they're old enough, I look forward to going to Scandinavia without them.
Well, at the rate that we're covering these Blackmore's Night albums, the podcast will still be around in 10 years and you'll still be connected to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. I'm hoping.
Or their children.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So now I ask the question, and I'll ask it of John. John, are we ready to get into the tracks?
Let's get this over with.
All right. First track up, the opener, the titular Under a Violet Moon. There's a Tenacious D song that starts off like that.
Could use a little more volume.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Here we go.
I could use a little less volume.
Take your headphones off.
The volume wars in reverse. Really deep voices in the back.
Yeah. It's like one of those pirate song singers.
Yeah.
So I know I said this in the last episode. I'll say it again here. Is her voice gets markedly better over the years. Like, this is still kind of early on. She's like over articulating. You know, I don't know. It still has that very sing-songy child song quality to me. But you know, as time carries on, her voice gets far better, I think.
And I know that's usually John's primary thing. You're just not a fan of her voice,
right?
Even though she's a good singer, and I think it's. Well, I don't want to speak for John, but to me, it's the fact that she doesn't have like that grit in her voice. I think I said that very angelic and smooth.
I think I just said that last time. I just think she's not obviously a talented singer. She's just not. It's not. Doesn't do anything for me.
Julie quite likes it.
Yeah.
I agree. She sounds really youthful here. When you get to like Winter Carols, which is the album I'm most familiar with, she's got a good edge to her by that point, I would say.
So I keep losing the music. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's nothing there.
You're losing the music?
Yeah, every time we talk, the music completely disappears.
John's just going to keep talking in an endless stream for the rest of the show.
John's going to do the Patton Oswalt filibuster from Parks and Recreation.
It might be a Zoom thing, but that let me turn it up a little. That oops,
gone.
I know that sometimes it cuts out or it'll cut down when we're talking, but this completely it's.
I'm going to guess it's a new Zoom feature.
Oops. Okay. All right. I messed everything up. So let's just call it quits with that song because
Okay.
in order to make it more audible, I completely stopped it. So that is not great.
Was it over?
Not even
No.
close.
Oh.
The good part's at the end, though.
All right, let's.
I trying to have to go all the way through it again.
All right, let's pretend that we didn't do it then. I don't know. No, there's not really a good way to start in the middle here. So I'm going to start this up. And I think one of the things we were getting to was this instrumental part, which I could have very much heard being a Deep Purple sort of thing between Richie and John. It took this really, really interesting turn. Oh, you know what? I think I can do it this way. There we go. That's about where we left off.
I mean, so far the recording is great. I mean, you have to be able to pick up the finer points of Richie's playing if you're going to record an album like this. And I think they did a really good job capturing at least the guitars.
And especially when it's acoustic and there's so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Normally in a rock context, there'd be like a backing organ or whatever, but here you've got him playing these very, very dynamic pieces on an acoustic guitar that have to somehow cut through all of these other instruments and percussion and everything going on.
Without getting a ton of finger noise.
Yes. Or fret squeak. It's actually one of my favorite parts in the Death Alley Driver guitar solo is just the squeak of his hand moving up and down the frets.
Hey.
Yeah, that would work.
It works very well live. That's what happens.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, the whole crowd, they stop and everyone goes, hey!
One day I was talking to Ovis the other day about if this any way I could, if they didn't do 3 shows a year all around like my busiest time at work, it could not be worse, and all across the country. So
Well, they just play New York and Germany now?
I don't even think they've been to Germany in a while.
I don't think he's left the country in a while. It's just like the furthest west they've come is like Western Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah.
But he mostly, I think last year they just did a few shows around Boston and New York.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's so I enjoyed seeing them as many times as I've seen them, but they've lost something now. Like Richie really is barely playing now. He's basically just strumming. He's not, before he'd still break into a solo here and there, but not anymore.
He's been suffering from like arthritis for a while.
Yeah, I'm not faulting him. Before I would go to as many shows because you'd get differences, but not anymore.
Right. He's doing more talking now, isn't he? Like
yes, that's the best part is like the comedy routine between the two of them.
Yeah, that'd be worth seeing.
Oh yeah, the videos I've seen look hilarious. I would love.
Yeah, well,
I would love to.
I didn't get him on a good night, so
no.
Remember when we went, Rich? You were like, you said it was very not typical. Plus, there was that heckler in the audience who kept
that's what's
ruining everything.
The only good thing is he almost jumped off the balcony.
Yeah, that was the only good part. And then
that guy saved his life. He owes that guy.
Yeah.
What were they heckling?
The guy was just completely obliterated, and he was like kind of far back, and younger guy than I expected, but he's doing all the typical "smoke on the water," just yelling out Deep Purple songs, and you're like, he's gonna, I'm waiting for Blackmore just to walk out, but like they seem to be handling it okay. So finally, at one point, Richie walked over to the microphone. He's like, come down here," and so the guy comes like running full speed from the upper balcony to the mezzanine. He goes right past the stairway. And if the guy hadn't thrown his arm out to stop him, he would have gone straight off the balcony. It would have been like Booth after he shot Lincoln. So he then makes his way down to the stage. There's an orchestra pit, which he fails to notice. And he jumps over that and goes down into the orchestra pit. So he still got to see him take a header, which was worth it. But he got up on stage and he goes to sing it. He doesn't even know the words and he's so drunk. So they're playing it, but he can't sing it. It was painful.
Oh.
Wow.
But to Richie's credit, it didn't really seem to throw
Yeah.
Richie's game off. He's just like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, he's
You
like,
know?
hey, come up here. And just by
Yeah,
doing
so-
that, he punished this guy enough.
Well, and then
Almost
I'm
killed
sure
him.
when he got to the side of the stage, they just escorted him out the back door and like, oh, problem
Right,
solved.
right. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna make it easy for security. Hey, can you come here for a second?
Come here. Yeah, there's some beers out in the alleyway.
Yeah, I want to talk to you.
I just like that he fell in an orchestra pit and still got up on the stage.
Oh, it's great. There's got to be
tried
video.
sing.
Somebody had to have shot that on video.
Oh yeah,
I'm
once
sure,
the guy
yeah.
started acting like a dipshit, I'm sure people's phones started firing off.
Lighten up.
Well, they had posted the video of Richie telling the story of the fight he got in with David Coverdale. And that was right before I had lunch with Graham Bonnet. And we were talking about it. And I said, well, Richie told the story about the fight. He goes, yeah, I saw that. It happened exactly like that.
Wow.
Okay. That must have been something to be witness of. I would. That's one of those, like, if you could go back in time and be a fly on the wall, that would be one of the moments I would love to see.
It's just Richie tackling Coverdale.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing Graham Bonnet. It's going to be a good show.
That's going to be in New Jersey, right?
No, it's right near us, New Bedford, Mass.
Oh, perfect.
Yep. It's we are actually just at that Deep Purple tribute show there couple weekend or last weekend, right?
Yeah, it was last weekend.
Yeah,
Nice.
That'll be awesome. All right, so Under a Violet Moon. Who wants to go first? Scott.
I really liked it. The first song is always kind of weird because you're thinking about so many different things, like the mix and the individual tones and all those kind of things. But for a song, I would say I would give it a 4. I think it's got some good energy to it. Candace does sound a little young on this and a little bit inexperienced, but I think she's pretty passionate. So yeah, I'll go with the 4.
All right. Rich.
So having seen this live and knowing how well it works, it is exactly what they intend it to be. It's like a sit around the fire with your mug of grog or your beer and everybody kind of singing.
Grog.
Yeah, and everyone kind of singing along and clapping their hands. And that's sort of what happens live. I mean, everyone kind of gets into it and does the hey and the clapping of the hands and everything. And I like it. So I also will give it a 4.
All right. John.
2.5.
Ouch.
An enthusiastic 2.5.
He's going to be obstinate, I can see.
Mm.
You might want to go a little higher so you got somewhere to go down.
There's room to go down. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
Not John's thing.
No.
I get it.
All right. I will give it a 3.5. I do like it. I like the instrumental breakdowns too. I really like the opener from the last album. So, yeah, I think this one's keeping in the spirit of that. And yeah, I think it's just a solid opener for this style of music. And I'm trying to rank it on that. This isn't necessarily my go-to kind of music or style of music, but I can appreciate it. And I do like this as an opener. All right. So are we ready for track 2?
Yes.
This one is called Castles and Dreams. Oh. The cat is making an appearance. Is that the one that's scratching Richie?
Oh, lost the music.
Are you losing the music?
Yeah.
What is going on?
I mean, do you have it so it lowers when people talk?
No.
Didn't you just do a Zoom update, or was that somebody else?
No,
That was
Rich
me.
did, but
Oh, okay. I like that instrument that's playing behind Candace. I don't know what it is, but it's got a good sound to it.
Well, like the more of the pad instrument, or like the
Yeah, it sounds like maybe a string pad.
Yeah, it's probably a synth.
Could be.
It could be the hurdy-gurdy, couldn't it? Doesn't that kind of make that sound?
I don't know if it's
Kind of a
sustained
drone
that
sound.
long.
The hurdy-gurdy is a little more, for lack of a kinder term, obnoxious sounding.
I don't know if it has that level of sustain.
I know that Richie's had one on stage where like it's like I got a hang crank on it and stuff. I don't know if that's the
it's like
hurdy-gurdy or not.
It's like you crank it. It's almost like a. I could be completely butchering this description, but to me it looks like it's like a stringed instrument that, like, the crank is moving like a bow across the strings.
Right.
Oh, you know what else it could be in the background is Richie playing cello.
That's possible.
While riding a bicycle. You could do like a hurdy-gurdy bicycle with the pedals.
I've seen Frank Zappa play a bike.
That's true,
With a
right?
bow.
On what show was it he did it? On like Alan Parr or something? Or Jack Parr or what?
I think you had to write Alan somebody.
Steve Allen.
Steve Allen, here you go.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's a pretty tranquil song for a second track.
And it's got that like kind of almost Soldier of Fortune ending where it goes like minor to ending on the major chord.
Yeah.
But let's see if John ranks it as high as he ranked Soldier of Fortune. He wants to go. We'll never know.
Wait till we get to their cover of Soldier of Fortune.
Oh my God, John's gonna love it. Who wants to go first this time?
John.
Or do we just keep the same order? Yeah, let's go John first.
I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. No. I'll give it a 3. I thought it was pretty. No, I thought it was all right. I thought it was pretty good. I liked Richie's his guitar playing. It was very reminiscent of some acoustic stuff that I like of his. Candace wasn't completely objectionable.
High praise. All right, Rich.
I think I'll also go with a 3. It really doesn't do anything for me. I didn't even remember it, quite frankly, when you played it. So probably haven't gone back to it too many times. So maybe I should give it a 2.5, but we'll stay at a 3 because it's nice. His playing's nice on it. Her voice is nice, but nothing special.
All right, Scott.
I'm actually going to go 3.5. This is the kind of music I love to just have on in the background. It isn't a song that I would, obviously rock out to, but like I like having these kind of sounds in the room and just kind of filling the airspace. So yeah, I'll go a little higher, 3.5.
All right. And then I guess that leaves me. I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I like it. I feel like it's good. It sets a really nice, good, low tempo mood. I think if you're a fan of this kind of music, this must be just what you're looking for. And I do like the mood of this music. It's just not something I often put on. I don't know if it's just because I would feel weird putting it on, like I have to dress up. You know what I mean? Like,
you have to dress up. Oh.
Like I enjoy it and I appreciate it, but I just feel like I'm trying to be somebody that I'm not if I listen. If it feels to me it's like for a different audience or for somebody that likes to dress up when they go to the Renaissance Fair. And I take the kids to the Renaissance Fair, but I do not dress up. But anyway,
this is probably the only genre of music where you would have that connection, though, because Renaissance music or Renaissance in general is something that people really get into.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a cult at this point. And this is the only style of music that relates to anything I can think of that has that kind of following.
I apologize
Star Wars.
if I've told this story before, but when one of the first times Jen and I took the kids to the Renaissance Fair, there were these two guys at like the picnic table next to us. Everyone's doing these horrible British accents. And these two guys were trying to describe to each other how to get to their website, basically. Did I tell you about this?
I think you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and it was just like, it was one of the most uncomfortable but hilarious moments of either of our lives that we still talk about all the time, because it's like, oh yes, there is this great scroll. It is a magical scroll which you can access from anywhere. Oh, prithee me, pray tell, how do I get to this scroll? Oh, well, you must enter the sacred runes, www. whatever. And it was just like, oh my God, guys, just break character.
I feel like punching myself.
Yes. It was unbelievable. It's just like, just break character, guys. Like, it's two guys talking to each other. They weren't on stage. They weren't doing anything. But they could not break character to just tell each other their goddamn websites.
Can you just whittle me a business card?
Yes. Oh, yes. The sacred slate of the business. Oh, yes. It will take you straight there. Oh my God! That's how it is there. That everyone's always on with their terrible British accents, and they can't. It's like when you go to whatever Colonial Williamsburg or whatever, and like they're like, "How did you get here? I flew." Oh, you must think I'm a fool. It's like, okay.
That's why you'll never see me 100 miles from a place like that.
It would have been funnier if they just yell "witch" and tie you to a stake.
Yeah, we can't break character. She said she flew. Burn her.
Burn the witch.
I have only been to a Renaissance festival one time, and I'm good.
It's a lot of
not
fun.
My thing.
It was fun with the kids.
It's fun with the kids. It's a lot of fun. Even like as adults, it's fun. But they're Rich disagrees with that.
Rich is like, debatable.
But there's a lot of people. There'll be people in jeans and a t-shirt, and there'll be people fully dressed up, and then there's weird random people like dressed up like Captain Picard, and you're like, I don't get what you're doing here.
Time traveling. Exactly.
So there's like people that are just out of it, that are dressed up like things that are not Renaissance, but are also part of geek culture. And then you just you're surrounded by a lot of gregarious nerds who want to role play and act and be all up in your face about how it's medieval. And so, yeah, it's a wide range of and then there's just a lot of just like people in the dead of summer in these like long, super heavy black coats, just death metal kind of people. Oof. And emo people. It's just goths. It's really a catch-all for nerds.
There is a lot, and I do mean a lot of, what's a kind word? Rubenesque? Is that a good word?
Oh, yes.
That's kind,
yes.
Right? Rubenesque women who use this as their excuse to jack everything, and I don't think it's all just boobs. It's like everything from their upper body that they just kind of like push up into the bodice. And
it is actually astonishing. It's like, I don't know how this even happened or how it works. It's just, yeah, a lot of boobs out on display for sure, and up and like propped up at these angles like you can't even imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can walk over and I put my stein of beer on it like an end table.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah,
let me get a coaster.
Yeah, like it's a full like 90-degree angle. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Okay, I'll give it another try if I can go dressed as Megatron. Like with the voice changer.
You wouldn't stick out.
No, nobody would bat an eye. They'd be like, oh, cool, it's Megatron.
Yeah.
All right, so next track up is Pastimes with Good Company.
Who would be good company for Richie?
Whoever.
A minstrel.
Well, it would have had to have been in the past, so.
Yes.
The court jester. A band of merry men.
Lost
Where'd the music go?
again.
You don't hear it at all?
Now I do.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that is a lot of reverb on Candace's voice.
I'm just going to crank up the volume here. Maybe hopefully that'll cancel whatever is going on here.
You're welcome, John.
I was gonna say keep talking.
What we can't see is the candles that John has lit, like cursing the recording of this.
John's going to draw a nice hot bath after this. He's going to pop this album on, light a bunch of candles.
Just remember not to put your head all the way in the water.
And then he's going to bring the toaster in with him.
What is this yon toaster of which you speak?
Privy tell me, it makes the bread through some kind of sorcery turn into toast.
What beest this toast of which you speak?
Yeah, I haven't seen a slice of Jesus toast in a long time. Has that fad gone away?
Oh, the Jesus toast. Yeah, those are happening fairly regularly, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen one in a while.
I don't even know what that is.
You know, like they'd toast some toast and it would like they'd see Jesus in the toast, like it'd have an outline of Jesus.
I thought it had 3 holes in it or something.
It's okay. He's Catholic. He can say that.
I can say that.
When I grew up Catholic, I can laugh at it.
I was baptized Catholic. I can laugh at it.
Guess who wrote this song? It's a traditional, but come on, Nate.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm lagging in my responsibilities to the songs. This song,
King Leopold.
Hey, not far off.
Not too far. It was written by Henry VIII.
Oh, I was kidding.
And those those drums at the beginning were played by Mike Metal Goldberg, as I said earlier, who won a 2015 Grammy for the best blues album, Step Back.
Drums are not very metal.
And he also engineered an album by the Baha Men. But it was 2 albums before Who Let the Dogs Out, so it's not as well known. So he kind of plays those.
Very metal.
Was that a dog barking or was that my dog? Yeah, not very metal, but yeah, I was, when I was looking into this, I was so hoping that he was actually in some way involved with Who Let the Dogs Out, but sadly no. He was with Baha Men before they made it big.
Yeah, great. We got to have Aussie, Baha Men. Top of the rankings.
Although the album that he engineered was called Doong Spank. Doong Spank.
Huh.
I don't know what that means. All right. Pastime with good company. Let's go, Rich. What do you think?
Gotta go 2.5 on this one.
All right.
It just is. Yeah, that's the best I can do for it. It exists.
It does certainly exist. Scott.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go 2.5 on this one. I like the feel of it, but overall, like if it was just a little bit faster, I think if it had a little more oomph to it, I might like it more. But as it is, it's kind of just an album track for me.
All right, John.
2.
It's not really the vote; it's the way you say it. It's just 2.
Well, I mean, there's really nothing about
1, 2.
Exactly. 2 middle fingers up. There's nothing about this that really stands out for me. Every song that I hear just sounds the same as like da. It's like
Great. Now you spoiled the 11th album.
Well, come on. I challenge you to find me a song that sounds any different than this. Maybe there will be. I don't know.
All right, I will give it a 2.5 as well. It's again, nothing objectionable, just kind of I like nondescript, it's just kind of
nondescript. There you go.
It's background music. It's there's nothing wrong with it, but it didn't really jump out too much at me. I don't think I have anything else to add. So we get to go to the next track, which is a song called Morning Star.
If I were a rich man.
God, my grandfather loved that song. He used to sing it all the time.
This violin was played by someone named Miri Ben, and she was, or is, an Israeli-American violinist known as the hip-hop violinist. She won a Grammy in 2005 as a co-writer of the song Jesus Walks with Kanye West.
And there we have the Deep Purple Kanye tie-in we've all been waiting for.
We've all been waiting for it.
I guess he showed up at the Grammys last night and wasn't invited.
Wow, shocker.
Wow, wait, Kanye acted like an asshole? Let me write this down.
You heard it here first.
Hold up.
Put that right alongside Richie Refused.
Yes. Richie won't even go places he's invited, never mind. Crashing a party would be like the exact opposite. Richie, we arranged this huge banquet in your honor to talk about how great you are. He doesn't show up.
Oh, that's nice. I like that.
The bass player also played with Yngwie in Rising Force.
Tell you what, you got to be pretty good to get that gig. Because those are not easy songs to play.
No. And you got to be really good at picking up picks.
Yeah.
I was going to say, based on the band we saw him with, it might not be as hard now.
Yeah. But back in like Marching Out and Rising Force, those are very difficult albums for pretty much every instrument. There's so much reverb on her vocals on this album. I don't remember the first one being like that.
And when she makes the sibilant noises, it's like just like
it really stands out.
With it.
It's almost like shades of Deep Purple reverb.
The what? Deep Purple reverb?
The shades of Deep Purple. The first
shades
album.
of Deep. Yeah. Yep.
It's got a good rhythm to it, though.
Oh, another hey. Hey!
I don't like that.
I think we found our first John sample for this episode.
I don't like that. I'd like to hear them cover a Cake song, because I was going, hey!
That was a good solo by Richie.
That was a great solo, yeah.
And so that was the stuff that kept me interested early on, especially seeing him live, is him breaking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like that progression right there, too. It's kind of dark. Hey, speaking of violinists, though, Nate, did you ever end up listening to Eddie Jobson's Theme of Secrets album?
I have not.
I think you'd like it.
I think I would too. I'll have to check it out. They ended on the hay for you, John. John is
I'm
like,
just
"Hay
happy
is for
she didn't go
horses."
for the. She was going to go up the octave to the morning star.
Yeah.
Hey,
The morning star. Hey. All right. Let's go. I feel like I should
It's
have a
Nate's
foresight.
turn.
It would be actually very on brand to have a four-sided die here for my Dungeons and Dragons set to see who goes first.
You got to get a deep purple tower to drop it down, though.
I will go first. I never go first. I'm going to give it a 2.5. Who's next? Scott.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I think it's got great energy. I really like Roma music, though, so that's probably part of why I'm attracted to this kind of music. It's very similar. This is a little more newer and modern, I guess. But no, I thought that song had great energy. Loved Richie's solo, some nice violin and percussion in there. Yeah, good song.
Nice. All right, Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3.5, but I could have pushed towards a 4. I can see that, but I gave the other one a 4, so this one's 3.5. Same thing. Like, I really liked his solo. I thought the melody was really good. It's interesting, and I do like that kind of Middle Eastern-y feeling stuff. You know, when they really dig into it like that. At least it's not just a drone like the one before. You know, it went somewhere, it did something, and they avoided the super cliche ending. I mean, it was still a cliche ending, but it wasn't the over the top cliche that I 100% expected. So 3.5.
All right, podcasters of the round table, we're going to take a trip to Avalon.
John.
Oh,
see, that's what happens when you go first.
I know I messes everything. I saw his ranking in there already. So, John,
yeah,
what do you give it?
2.5.
All right.
See, I thought Richie Solo was going to pull it up to a 3.
Well, actually, Richie Solo pulled it up to a 2.5.
Yeah, you weren't far off.
It was actually the only thing that I really liked about it, because it was very reminiscent of his earlier work. So,
all right. Makes my stupid King Arthur thing even worse, but let's go to the next song, Avalon.
I can already tell John's not going to like this song.
All I can picture is Bugs Bunny, like, prancing through the fields, throwing flowers up in the air.
What is that they always used to play? Was it the Four Seasons?
Yeah.
With her vocal layering and that reverb, it really sounds almost like a 60s song.
Yeah, I can hear that.
It's like if you went over and visited Bilbo Baggins, he's like, "Oh, you put on some music."
Bilbo.
Yeah, there goes the music again.
Is it going for everybody?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
John's not going to admit it, so just assume it is for him.
So weird. I haven't changed any settings. Probably Zoom did update something. It's usually what happens.
They're like, hey, we think you'd like this feature. We think that you would like an orange background.
We think you'd like everything worse.
Yeah.
Ooh, little fan
Nice.
for you.
Are there brass players on this, Nate? I don't remember.
Yeah, the guy from the E Street Band.
Oh, that's right.
And on this particular track, it doesn't really specify anybody as being out of the order. So it could be Conan's guy. I hope they get the guy that does the year 2000 for the next album. Year 2000.
Is that the only thing he ever did on that show?
He was the trombone player, I think, that did that.
Oh, okay.
But he also did that amazing falsetto.
He was a tromboner.
In the year 1584.
It's been like 25 years since I've heard that guy.
No, it's been more recent because they carried that on until like 2003 or 2004,
Oh, did they?
which made it even funnier. They're talking about because they started off in like the very late 90s and it was like, imagine the year 2000. And then they just kept going with it. It was great. Okay. Rich, what do you think of Avalon?
2.
All right.
It really, yeah, I would not go back to that one by choice, ever.
Okay.
Ever.
John.
I'll match Rich's 2.
All right. Scott.
Well, I'll fuck up the curve and go with a 4. I really liked it. I thought Candace's pitch was fantastic. That's not an easy song to sing. Very pitchy. But I like that. The only thing I think that stopped me from making it a 4.5 is I think it needed another layer of instrumentation in there, just something lower to kind of balance out all that mid and high range. But apart from that, I thought it was really good.
Okay. I will give it a 2.5. I think it was just a little, I mean, like I said earlier, these songs are not super long. So this one is what we're looking at, not even 3 minutes long. But even with that, it's a little. It was
drinking tea at the Baggins residence.
Oh, terrible.
I'm sitting here petting the cat, thinking I should be going. That was very foolish, Mr. Bond.
I'm just glad we have videos so we know you're actually petting a cat instead of it being some sort of euphemism.
Petting the cat. Okay, I'm glad I still focus on that one. All right. So our next track up is Wind in the Willow. Oh, I'm sorry. John's going to love this. If Possum Goes to Prague.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, this one, it's worth saying, though, is an instrumental.
Okay.
I was like, just went up half a point.
Yeah, if I didn't know this was Richie, I would know this was Richie.
Yeah, exactly. It's
such a full body tone that he's getting, though.
I mean, it sounds great, and his playing he's playing like lightning fast with all those trills.
It's kind of hypnotic.
It was like pizzicato strings there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Short and to the point. And
Wow.
Yeah, Richie's playing on that is just it is really well, I'll let you guys go first. Scott.
I'm going to give that a 4. I thought that was fantastic playing from Richie. I thought the pizzicato was a nice touch. I'm going to redo that song, but use orchestra hits.
Yep. All right, Rich.
That is a song that I never skip, and I have been known to actually seek out. So I think under the rules of the game, that makes it a 5.
Oh,
Nice.
right.
Whoa.
Love to see it, folks. John.
I'll give it a 3.5.
All right.
Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't. I mean, it was definitely technically good, but not my favorite Richie. But I mean, definitely tasteful. It was kind of devoid of the elements that I don't like about what's on this album. Like if you started throwing in a bunch of other crap, yeah, that's one. That's one. She started croaking over this one. I would have gone down a point. But I don't know, some of the other like the medieval instruments and stuff, I just can't get into them. I think to me that ruins it. So they did what was in this? There was like another.
It was just guitar, and then there was like the pizzicato. It was probably done on a synth, but
I mean that was fine though, because it was very subtle.
Very simple, yeah.
You know? Yeah. And that's what that song needed. You didn't need to put a whole bunch of other stuff in it. So I thought it was pretty good.
I'll give it a 4 as well. I really like this one. I think it shows that he's listening to and studying this style of music and doing a pretty good job to my ears of replicating what you would hear in this kind of music. Now, I'm by no means an expert. You could probably talk to some medieval music scholar that would be like, "Oh, he completely missed the point. He should have. Oh, he was using the wrong modal intonation or whatever." But I don't. To me, it sounded like a very good original interpretation of the kind of music you would get.
Yeah. And that's a good point. And that I did miss there is that I remember hearing this something. You see, now this is what I thought Blackmore's Night was going to be. Was more things like this, not the sing-songy, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just think you can really feel the plight of the possum in those notes.
Yes. It really comes through that possum was definitely on his way to Prague. Okay. The next track up is Wind in the Willows. This is like the first one with like a proper like drum beat in this style, though.
Yeah. It's going to be a story song, though. You can tell by the lyrical opening.
As I went to walking one morning in spring.
That
Who the hell is
like
this?
Candace.
Is that Ian Anderson?
No, that's
Who the hell is that?
Who the hell is that?
Who did Carefree Highway?
John Ford.
John Ford, who was in the band The Straubs.
Oh.
I thought it was. I can't think of his name right now. The guy that did Carefree Highway.
And he's on this song because
Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon Lightfoot. Thanks. I couldn't think of his name.
That'd be great if Gordon Lightfoot was on this.
why is John Ford on this song?
Why?
He's their neighbor.
Oh, is he really?
I'm assuming it says that he lives the North Shore of Long Island. So I'm gonna go.
Says,
yep.
They just put some flyers up on telephone poles. Hey, do you want to? Are you a UK musician living in the US who wants to work with Richie?
Richie, can I borrow your lawnmower? Yes, if you'll be on our album.
Hey, could I get a cup of sugar? And would you mind laying down a vocal track to the song?
No music.
Music's gone.
What is going on with this music?
He's got a pretty good voice, though.
It works really well with this style of music.
Mm-hmm.
Thick as a brick.
Yes.
Now I know that Ian Anderson does something with these guys later, but I thought that'd be a nice little pairing, Blackmore and Ian Anderson doing something together. I think it would be quite good. Quite good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Isn't he on the first album, Ian Anderson?
Maybe. It's been, 270 episodes since we did it? I don't know.
I don't remember. I think he's on the first album. It's that really awesome song, too.
Oh, now I know you're making it up.
You know, I got a DVD with my copy I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, he's on Play Minstrel Play. That's that song. Like Ian Anderson and Richie trading off like lute and flute solos. It'd be awesome.
Even if they just went back and covered some, rainbow stuff and some Tull stuff that, in that style, it'd be enjoyable.
Absolutely.
He did some really nice stuff when he played a concert with Uriah Heep. And that blended really well.
Kazoo or flute?
Flute on that one.
I knew it was coming. All right. So that was Wind in the Willows. John, let's have you go first this time.
Wind in the Willows. Da, 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 da. I'll give it a 3. I thought it was I actually thought it was pretty good. I didn't think that the guy was a nice break. The vocal was a nice break, but actually I think that him and Candace harmonized pretty well together. I think she works good as a backup singer, although that being said, is that the melody is kind of the same as what all the other songs are doing. But I don't know. It really was kind of what's the, if you'd say like poppy, like I don't know, more accessible. Like I don't know. I feel like this would be like the most accessible song on the album. I don't know why.
All right.
But yeah, I thought it was actually pretty good. I liked listening to it in the background while we were chatting. It was pretty good.
Rich.
Yeah, I guess I'll also go with a 3. It's slightly above average. But yeah, it definitely has that melody. Like I almost feel like I learned that song like in 3rd grade. Like,
yeah,
okay, we're gonna show you an example of this type of song, and it goes dun da 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 da.
Yeah.
What's that? Isn't there one where I can't believe I can't think of his name. The nerd, not Millhouse. Smart nerd, John Simpson's. Step up.
Frank?
Martin. Doesn't Martin write like an ode to Nelson at one point?
Yes. Yes, he does.
I think it's very similar to that.
Yes, you know what? I'm gonna have to find it right now too, so we can
add it to the end of the show.
Yeah, I'm putting it in my end of the show notes. My end of the show notes are almost longer than my show notes at this
Bring
point.
forth my burly protector.
Oh, jeez.
All right, Scott.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a 4 on this one. I really like the melody. I like the vocal combination. Thought it was a good uplifting song. I like it.
I will give it a 3 as well. I think Rich really nailed it. There's something like very familiar sounding about it, even if you haven't heard it before. It's very comfortable, and it sounds like something you would have grown up with. And I did like also with what John said, the combination of the two vocals together worked really, really well. So,
that melody, it feels kind of like an Arrogant Worms melody. Something that they would have done. The way that their vocals go are very similar to that flute melody.
Rich, it was Hark to the Tale of Nelson.
Hark, that's what it was?
Hark to the Tale of Nelson!
Is that the lemon tree episode?
I don't. You know what? I don't know. It might be.
When I went to Shelbyville?
I looked it up
Yeah.
like at the out of context, but it might be.
Would you put in ping pong Nelson?
I just put in like
Nothing. Come on, that was a good callback.
Wait a minute, what was it? Ping pong?
I said, would you put in ping pong Nelson and Martin? They said you would look something up one time. You put in ping pong fuck or something, and you were shocked to see what you got for results.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's the hardest I've laughed in an episode in a long time. I know I told you guys that story, but when my mom was still alive, she had like the very first internet like on TV. It was called like web TV or something. And I was home like mowing the lawn for and doing groceries. And I said, hey, I want to order some tickets. Can I use the web TV? She's like, yeah, it takes forever to log on. And so she leaves the room. She's doing stuff. She comes back in just as I'm doing a search for bare naked ladies. She's like, what are you doing? Mom, it's combing my hair.
I'm using the internet for exactly what it was intended for.
Oh, shit.
Okay, well, before we started recording, I was doing some research. I got all these boxes of stuff from my grandma. I'm trying to figure out, value and stuff. And one of the ones is this 1970s Wow magazine. And so, you put it in eBay, you look under what's sold, and you're going to get a couple of World of Wrestling magazines. But I, for some reason, got Bitty Titties came up. Like, I don't know how I could have possibly gotten that, but okay.
So when John and
not doing it. Not doing it.
I set you up, Rich. Come on.
Yeah, all right. So did you just type in the name of the magazine or did you put your grandmother's name in there?
No, okay, but
Get it? Biddy.
One time,
Biddy.
one time she and I were talking. She goes, oh yeah, I found a box of stuff that I got when I was in New Orleans, and I came across all these bead necklaces, and I'm like, I don't want to know. Do not want to know how you forever do not tell me that story.
Well, speaking of inappropriate things happening with the internet and your family, when
Uh-oh.
John and I were like 19 or 20, we had this band called Tricky Dick. And we would record, it was like our heavy metal band, and we would record some stuff with it. And our buddy Derek, who's been on Scott's show before, was very, he was like at the forefront of everything with technology. And he was like the first guy you knew that had this computer and the first guy that you know that had internet access. And he was the first guy that we ever knew that would design websites. So he made a website for Tricky Dick. And we would just like, it was very, GeoCities days. And there was like this testimonials section. This is the Wild West internet, like you know where I'm going with this, don't you? Mid 90s, anything's possible. And so we would, when we were over his house, we'd be like, it would be funny if you did this, ha ha ha. And I guess they had made some changes to the Tricky Dick website, which I didn't know. And I'm looking at it. My mom is with me. Oh, no. And we're looking at the website, and it's funny stuff. It was like, I can't even remember anything except this one thing.
Well, I mean, wasn't it, you said that the testimonials, right? Like we were like putting like pictures of like a celebrity on there and just being like, oh, I love this band, and there would be Bill Cosby or something,
Exactly. And we're scrolling through, and then all of a sudden is a picture of a woman performing a sex act on somebody, and her quote was, and I'm looking at this with my mom as a 19, 20-year-old. I was like, all right, let's we'll just stop it right there.
That's me and E-Rock written all over.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
No, like, wouldn't it be funny if one of the quotes was,
I don't know why I thought that. I was like, I should just continue. Because my mom's reading with me, we're laughing. And then I was like, and then it just all went south. And neither me or my mom has ever spoken of it again.
I'm surprised you even let me in your house. Even now.
It hasn't been enough time.
Oh, there's that nasty young man. Send him away.
Such a bad influence on my.
That would explain why that's why I get talking notes whenever I go over their house. See, Nate, here, these are approved topics of conversation.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Wow,
So
and I
we've
was
got-
just impressed you had a website on GeoCities.
Oh,
I don't even know if it was GeoCities at the time or what it was. I think it was like some weird. I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, but
But-
he was definitely like he knew how to write. We were just like, Derek, can you get us a website? He's like, yeah, I know how to write websites. So, it was back
Yeah,
then.
and it was probably one of those like university websites that was like 8 miles long with a tilde in the, in the URL. It was just, it's long gone, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
The best part is I picture the early days of the internet and Nate sitting in front of the computer screen with his mom and the fellatio just slowly loading.
it's loading line by line.
It's like, what is that? Oh my god!
And I almost forgot. It was all like, like John said, quote Bill Cosby, quote blah blah blah, and this one was, and it was attributed to girl sucking a tricky dick. So, apologies that we're not. We don't claim to be a kid-friendly podcast, but apologies to anybody.
It's too bad they're wasting all this great material on a Blackmore's Night episode.
Somebody's
this is
listening
what
to
will
this
get
episode
you to
with
listen.
their mom. You're gonna listen to these nice guys with their Deep Purple podcast.
Yeah, just Nate, don't listen to this episode with your mom, okay?
I don't want to remind. It's like one of those things that you probably think about, like, once a month for the rest of my life, and she probably does too. And we're never going to talk about it ever again, like it never happened. Okay, so the final track we're going to cover this week, we talked about Wind in the Willows. Now we're going to talk about Gone with the Wind, and I don't think it's about the movie. Mostly because it was written by some guy in like the 1500s.
Come on, John, lob up the frankly you don't give a damn.
I was waiting.
I don't, my dear.
No music.
Nope.
Where is it?
Are you not hearing all these great sound effects?
Wow. Is this the final countdown?
It does sound like it, huh?
The theme to The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Well, I don't know which part is, but this is written by Lev Nipper, a popular Russian song of the mid-1930s. The guy who wrote this was, his occupations on Wikipedia are composer, secret police agent.
Okay.
It covers a lot of bases.
I love that they wrote that he's a secret police agent.
Well, that's different than the police.
Well, I do know that they had a few balls in the late 70s. Secret policeman's ball and the secret policeman's other ball. That was actually an unintended joke. That was more of a music reference, but it worked out well.
On many levels.
Balls. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
No music.
Yeah, it must be something, a certain level of volume that kills the music.
This part certainly is.
I heard that, John.
Because I was looking for it.
Did John get a second job as a programmer for Zoom? So it's like cutting out anything medieval sounding?
Maybe.
Ooh, electric guitar.
All right, that bumped the song up a little bit.
It's pretty good.
Richie must really like that beat because I hear it a lot in the Blackmore's Night Music and Rainbow Live jams.
Yep.
Those backing vocals are huge.
They're pretty full.
And they've got a lot of people in the credits listed as backing vocalists on this album.
This would have made a good album closer. I'll be curious to see what the actual album closer is.
Ooh, there's a little sweep arpeggio in there.
Nice.
I feel like you needed one of those typical Richie, the high note where he does the staccato, the
Yeah. Zoom's cutting you out on that one. Yeah, but I agree. Yeah, that was great. That was really nice. It would. You're absolutely right. It's a good. Well, it's a good album half closer for the part one of the episodes. But let's
and
get into
part
it.
one.
Part one.
Begin part two.
At the sound of the beep, beep. Switch to the next episode. Rich, what do you think of that
film
one?
strip.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't really care for it much, but I do like hearing Richie play some electric guitar there. So I guess that kind of pushes it up to a 3 for me.
All right. Scott?
Well, I'm with those backing vocals, the killer guitar playing, great percussion. I'm going to go with a 5 on this one.
Ooh.
Absolutely loved it.
Love to see it. John?
I'll give it a 3.5. Not just for Richie solo.
Mhm.
I thought overall it had a little something. I don't know. It had a good vibe to it. And I mean, those backing vocals were pretty large. I mean, they it was very like full sounding, and I kind of appreciated that. But yeah, this had a little something different. I liked it.
All right. I am also going to give this a 3.5. I liked it. I thought the production on it was great. The arrangement was nice. It was nice it's exciting. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, simple to be like, oh, cool, Richie played an electric guitar, but it was cool. And it's nice to hear. And in this style of music, it works really well. And I know that's not always what he's going for in here, but he does it sparingly enough that when he does bring out the electric guitar in these songs, it makes like a really big impact.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there you have it. That's the first 8 tracks of this album. And before we go through our closing thoughts, we're going to thank our next level of patrons. And that is, of course, the foundation level. Coming in at the £3 50 pence Deep Purple New York tier, we have Lord Longford. At the £3 aromatic feed tier, we have Simon Ford and Richard Brees. At the 293 pence, we have
Blackmore tights.
At the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, Stephen Sharp and Duncan Leask.
Smoke on the water while you're in the sky.
At the $3 Nobody's Perfect tier, we have Peter Gardeau, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Stuart McCord, Ivan Fjellbu, Runar Simonsen, Ruinous Inadequacies, and from the Corey Morissette podcast universe, the one and only Corey Morissette himself. Then we also have Weston Supermare Pilgrim, Joe Dopefish Sigler, Adam Cork, Tim Wood, Steve Down to Earth Kohler. At the $1.71 I Want My Own tier, we have
Rich, Young, Shayla. Who the hell is that?
I know who Rich is. Rich is my favorite.
At the 10 DKK Cold Hard Danish Kroner tier, we have Karsten Lau.
Cold Hard Danish Kroner.
And at the $1 made up name tier, we have the Gravesite Goes to Prague, Leaky Mausoleum, Steven Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionels, Whopper the Electric Alchemist, Anders Engstrom, ICDC, Durple Purple, David Haddam, Graham Bonnet's Disco Pants and Haircuts.
I said, Graham, you know, our audience expects you to be a bit more dirty.
Disco Pants and Haircuts, yeah.
I'm just going to put my guitar across his head.
Eddie Lyon.
Homosexual.
And Sick Tone.
Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library.
Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast.
Damn, that list is getting long.
I know. I was. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if we like. I was talking.
Spin a wheel. Put everybody's name on a wheel and spin it.
That's what I was talking to Jen about it the other day, and I was like, "This is getting out of hand." And she's like, "You can't read all those names." She doesn't listen, so she's like, "But you can't read all those names. You should just like pick some random ones to read every week." And I'm like, we might have to go to something like that, or to just like, I was thinking like the different tiers, one we read every week, one we read every other week. I don't know, man. If anyone's got any ideas, or if people are just like, screw it, we like listening to you read the patrons, but it seems like at a certain point something's got to give.
How about for Roback we do row back to where you once guarded.
You once guarded.
I don't know how that shortens the list, but okay.
And no, he said if we are going to do them all, you know, just
yeah.
You could do a Swede grouping and just do the song once.
Yeah, and all of our Swedish lists. Yeah, I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. We are 305 episodes in, and it's quite a list.
It's out of control.
Assign odd numbers and even numbers. What's an even number episode? You read those ones. If it's an odd number episode, you read those ones.
It could be. I know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, since the Patreon is a monthly donation, you could just do like the first episode of the month, do all of those. And then the rest of the episodes, just read everyone's names, or you could do it, every other episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I know some episode, like some shows, like if they have like a certain dollar amount, like is basically understood, you're going to be anonymous, or it's just going to be in the show notes or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to piss anybody off because we've got this expectation at this point, but at the same time, it's pretty wild how it's grown over the years.
I just want to know if you have to pay back the moneylender tier.
Oh, that's true. Are they? Yeah, they're lending me money.
So the other thing you could do is you could probably go through that list and figure out which people are still actually donating, because there's probably some people on there that haven't donated in a while.
No, they're all. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Rich did the
I
one.
bought drinks the other night.
Rich donates in different ways, and his family did buy him a patronage for 1 year. But at the same time, I think if we got rid of Pops's Rich Yangwei Shaler and who the hell is that there'd be a revolt. But honestly,
Yes.
I think you're the only one because we never
That's
announce
good.
it, but we take people off as they drop off, and we put new people on. So yeah, it's just
That's
a lot
outstanding.
of people. Yeah, it's great.
If you like the Deep Purple podcast and would like to support the show, please consider
I'm not trying to
joining
play
our-
you guys out. Sorry about that.
I think
boy.
if you took out the pops out of the show, that would be like Deep Purple not playing Smoke on the Water.
Exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or doing a show without Ian Gillan and Roger Glover singing.
Smoke on the Water.
Who
Who the hell is that?
Another fly on the wall moment.
Yes. All right. So that's the end of the first half of the episode, or the first half of the review, I should say. Any thoughts before we wrap up for this week?
Nope. Bye.
Yeah, for a first time listen, I'm actually really digging this. I think we had the same thing happen this time that we did last time. Is I think my rankings were typically a little bit higher than everyone else's. But like I said, I'm a big fan of Roma music, so this is a little more up my alley probably than everyone else's. But I think it's also funny that as my vinyl collection sits currently, I have Black Sabbath, Born Again, and then the first Blackmore's Night album is right next to that. And I just find that kind of interesting. You have like the most evil looking album cover ever, and then Blackmore's Night.
A little bit of a musical departure as well. But I thought I was
Slightly.
surprised to hear this week that you hadn't heard this album before, because I thought you were a pretty big fan of this stuff. Were there just other albums you were got into later, or?
Actually, I have not heard most of them. I've heard more of the recent ones. Everything from like Winter Carols was the first one that I listened to, and then Nature's Light, and I've started collecting their vinyls now. So I got the first one. In fact, I that's why I saw it was next to Black Sabbath, because I have the clear vinyl of the first one that I just got in January. I like the music, but I don't listen to music a whole lot anymore.
Too busy talking about it.
Yeah, either I'm doing a podcast or I'm writing a soundtrack or working on a book, and I really just don't listen that much for enjoyment anymore. So there's even with Uriah Heep, I mean, there were albums I'd never heard.
Sure.
So it's something I enjoy. I just haven't really spent the time getting into yet. So I'm really glad to be doing these episodes with you guys.
Nice. We're glad to have you.
Yeah.
Any other closing thoughts? Well, John already delivered his.
No. Only thing is I would like to cordially invite your parents, because I'm sure they listen every week to this podcast. Double Bill will actually be performing in their backyard.
Really?
Very close by their house. They could come on over at the Legion in Woonsocket.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I'll have to let them know.
Yeah. Maybe John will even show up for a change.
John and my parents can go.
Special guest appearance.
That's right.
John's not going to go now because he's going to think of my mom's going to think of.
I'm going to walk in and she's going to give me the stink eye.
He knows, he knows damn well that I'll mention it from the stage. Hey, Mrs. Boji, was there
Was that incident with the web page back in 1996?
Hey, see that 65-year-old lady right over there? That's actually the same one that gave Nate that review when he was 19.
Actually, I'd like to formally invite Nate's mom onto my podcast to talk about her side of this
the trauma that she went through that day, having to watch that with her son. Jesus. All right. Well, folks.
Sorry, Jen. It's going to be a while.
She doesn't listen. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back at you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
With the conclusion, the stunning conclusion to Blackmore's Night under a violet moon. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.
If you like the Deep Purple podcast and would like to support the show, please consider joining our Patreon or donating on PayPal. Patrons get full access to the podcast, Discord server, ratings, spreadsheets, and live stream invites. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow the show on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, or Threads. You can also check out the website at deeppurplepodcast.com for show notes and more. Contact us via email at John or Nate at deeppurplepodcast.com. Thanks for listening.